So, good day to one and all. We are the Group 5. So, we're going to explore the space and the future of humanity. Space is often referred to as the final frontier, a vast or largely unexplored expanse that continues to capture human imagination. For centuries, people have looked up at the night, wondering with the sky, asking questions what lies beyond our planet and what our planet can bring us more to us. So today, modern space exploration has evolved into a highly advanced field that includes launching satellites, sending robotic probes to distant planets, studying celestial bodies, and sustaining human life in space through orbiting stations. So these efforts allow scientists to gather valuable data about the origins of our universe, the behavior of each planet, and even the possibility of life beyond the Earth. So according to NASA, space exploration not only expands our understanding of the cosmos. What is cosmos? So according to Britannica, in astronomy, cosmos is the entire physical universe considered as a unified whole. From the Greek word cosmos, meaning order or harmony and the world, but also leads to technological innovations that benefit everyday life. As its core, space exploration is driven by a deeply human desire, our curiosity. Humanity has always had the urge to explore the unknown, to go beyond our limits, and to discover new possibilities. This drive has led us from exploring oceans and continents to reaching the surface of the moon and beyond. So as astronaut Neil Armstrong once said, that's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. These historic statements highlights how each achievement in space is not just a personal success, but a collective advancement for our future and for humanity. Looking ahead, space exploration plays a crucial role in shaping our future. It contributes to scientific discovery, strengthens global cooperation, drives economic growth, and may even ensure a long-term survival for humanity. With ongoing missions to Mars and beyond, scientists are now exploring the possibility of humans living on other planets, making the idea of becoming a multiplanetary species more realistic than ever. In this presentation, we will help you explore how space exploration continues to influence our world, expand our knowledge, and open new possibilities for the future.
So, when we talk about space exploration, we mean humanity's effort to study and travel beyond Earth using science and technology. Hindi lang ito tungkol sa pagpunta sa moon, kasama na rin dito ang satellites, telescopes, space station, and mission to other planets. The beginning of modern space exploration started during the Cold War between the United States and Soviet Union. And this competition became known as the space race, where both countries competed to become more advanced in science and technology. And one of the biggest turning points happened in 1957 when Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the world's first artificial satellite. Although maliit lang ang Sputnik compared to modern satellites, napakalaki ng naging impact nito sa history because it proved that humans could successfully send objects into space. And it also showed that communication from space was possible through radio signals. And because of this development, people realized that space technology could help in many ways, such as communication, weather forecasting, navigation, and national security. And until now, ginagamit pa rin natin ang satellite technology for GPS, Google Maps, weather updates, television signals, and internet communication. And due to the Soviet Union's success, the United States established NASA in 1958, and NASA became responsible for space missions, scientific research, and the development of spacecraft, and human space travel. Now, let's move on to some important milestone in space history. In 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human in the space aboard in spacecraft Vostok 1. He successfully orbited the Earth and returned safely, proving that humans could survive space travel. And because of this, scientists first tested space missions using animals like dogs and monkeys to study the effects of space on living organisms. And another historic event happened in 1969 during Apollo 1 mission. NASA astronaut Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon while Michael Collins stayed in orbit. And Neil Armstrong became the first person to walk on the moon and said the famous line, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." And this mission proved that humans could travel to another celestial body and safely return to Earth. And in 1977, NASA launched Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 to explore the outer planets such as Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And these missions proved detailed images and important discoveries about solar system. Voyager 1 is now one of the farthest human-made objects from Earth and is already traveling through interstellar space. And it also carries Golden Record, which contains sounds and messages from Earth. And lastly, in 1990, NASA launched the Hubble Space Telescope. Unlike ordinary telescopes on Earth, Hubble operates space where there are no clouds or atmospheric disturbance. And because of this, it captured clearer and detailed images, galaxies, stars, and nebulae. And Hubble also helps scientists better understand black holes, distant galaxies, and even estimate their age of universe. Overall, these achievements greatly expanded human knowledge about space and continue to inspire future generations to explore the universe even more. Next slide po.
The current era commercial space flight. So, a paradigm shift. This means there was a big change in space exploration. Before, only governments handled space mission. But now, private companies can also help explore space and create new technologies. So, revolutionizing launch economics, reusable rockets help reduce the cost of space travel. Instead of throwing rockets away after one use, companies can use them again. This makes launches cheaper and more frequent. The democratization of space. Space is becoming more open to everyone. Because launches are cheaper, smaller countries, schools, and businesses can now participate in space projects. Next slide. These are the countries and companies leading space exploration today. Leading national space agencies is NASA. NASA is the space agency of United States. It is famous for the moon landing and many space discoveries. Next is the European Space Agency. So ESA is a group of European countries working together in space exploration. They share knowledge and technologies and resources. Roscosmos. Roscosmos in Russia's space agency. Russia was one of the first countries to explore space and send humans into orbit. China National Space Administration or CNSA. China's space agency is growing very fast. They have launched space station and missions to the moon. Indian Space Research Organization or ISRO. Indian's space is known for low-cost but successful mission. They prove that space exploration can be affordable and accessible. Pioneering private companies, SpaceX is famous for reusable rockets and astronaut missions. Blue Origin focuses on mission, tourism, and future moon missions. They are helping make space travel possible for ordinary people in the future. Rocket Lab launches small satellites into space. They help improve communication, internet, and satellite technology. Public and private synergy means government and private companies work together. This partnership helps improve technology faster lower costs, and makes space exploration successful.
Next is the importance of space exploration and its benefits to humanity. Space exploration is important because it helps us learn more about the universe. By studying space, scientists can understand how galaxies, planets, and stars were formed. It also helps answer important questions about the origin of the universe and the basic laws of physics. Another reason why space exploration is important is because it drives technological innovation. Space missions are very difficult and require advanced technology. Because of this, scientists and engineers create new inventions and systems that can also be used here in Earth. These technologies improve communication and transportation, medicine, and many other industries. Exploration may also help ensure the survival of humanity in the future. Humans currently depend only on Earth for survival. However, Earth can face dangers such as asteroid impacts, climate change, and ecological disasters. Because of this, scientists believe that exploring other planets may help protect future generations. Next slide, please. Next, first is global connectivity and navigation. Satellites help provide communication around the world, accurate GPS navigation, and internet access, especially in remote areas. Second is Earth observation and climate monitoring. Satellites equipped with advanced sensors help scientists track weather patterns, monitor climate change, and improve disaster response during typhoons, storms, and other natural disasters. Third is microgravity research breakthroughs. Experiments conducted in space have helped improve medical treatments, develop water purification systems, and create stronger and lighter materials that are useful in everyday life. Overall, space exploration is not only about discovering outer space, it also brings many benefits to Earth by improving technology, space and communication, healthcare, and human safety.
Aeronautics and Space Administration Artemis program, which is an exciting mission that aims to bring humans back to the moon and prepare for a future mission to Mars. So, first, Artemis aims to return humans to the moon for the first time since Apollo 17 in 1972. What makes this mission historic is that NASA plans to land the first woman and the first person of color on the moon, and the astronauts will explore the lunar South Pole, a region that is believed to contain water ice. This is important because water can be used for drinking, producing oxygen, and even making rocket fuel, which will help support long-term missions. Second, Artemis includes the construction of the Lunar Gateway, which is a small space station that will orbit the moon. It will be a pit stop in space, and astronauts will stay there because they will stay there before traveling to the moon's surface. And it will provide living space, laboratories, and docking ports for spacecraft, which will make missions safer and more efficient. Finally, the moon will serve as a testing ground for future missions to Mars, and NASA will use Artemis to test life support systems, habitats, and technologies that can use resources found on the moon. By practicing on the moon, scientists and astronauts can solve problems and gain experience before attempting the much longer journey to Mars. So, in summary, the Artemis program has three major goals. First is to return humans to the moon, to build the lunar gateway, and to use the moon as a preparation for Mars exploration. So, to conclude, Artemis is more than just a mission to the moon. It is the beginning of humanity's next great adventure in space and a major step toward reaching Mars. So, next slide, please. So, Now let us talk about why Mars is one of the most important destinations in space exploration. Mars is often called the red planet because of its reddish surface, which is caused by the iron oxide or rust in its soil. Scientists are especially interested in Mars because it is the planet most similar to Earth in our solar system. It has seasons, polar ice caps, mountains, and evidence that liquid water once flowed on its surface. Because of the similarities, Mars is considered the best place to search for biosignatures. These are chemical or physical signs that life may have existed in the past. Scientists also believe that billions of years ago, Mars had rivers, lakes, and possibly conditions that could have supported tiny microbial life such as the bacteria. So before sending robotic explorers to study the planet, one of these is the Curiosity rover, which has been analyzing in rocks and soil to understand whether Mars once had a habitable environment. Next is the Perseverance rover, which collected rock samples that may eventually be brought to Earth for detailed study. And we also have Ingenuity, which is the first aircraft to achieve powered flight on another planet. It has successfully flown over Mars and helped scout the terrain, showing that aerial exploration can support future missions. So these robotic pathfinders are extremely important because they allow scientists to study Mars safely and gather valuable information about its climate, geology, and potential to support life. Next is the planned phases of sending humans to Mars. So first is the early 2030s. The first step is to send robots and cargo to Mars without any astronauts on board. So the spacecraft can only carry food, tools, equipment, and building materials. They will also prepare the landing site and check if the area is safe for humans. So for the mid 2030s, the second step is to set up the basic facilities that astronauts will need. They will build habitats where the crew can live and install power systems such as solar panels to provide electricity. So this means that when astronauts arrive, they will already have shelter, power, and essential equipment waiting for them. Third is the late 2030s. This is the first human mission to Mars. Astronauts will travel for about 7 to 9 months to reach the planet. When they arrive, they must completely achieve entry, descent, and landing, or what we know as EDL. This is the process of entering the Martian atmosphere, slowing down, and landing safely. After landing, the crew will begin exploring Mars and conducting scientific experiments. Next is the 2040s. The final step is to build a permanent research station on Mars, and more habitats will be added, and systems will be developed to recycle water and air, grow food, and use resources found on the planet. So, the goal is to create a self sustaining outpost where humans can live and work for long periods. So, planning a mission to Mars is very difficult. Scientists must also consider the best time to launch, the positions of Earth and Mars, the long journey of 7 to 9 months, and the protection from space radiation, as well as safe landing on the Martian surface and providing enough food, and oxygen to the astronauts. So, in conclusion, this will happen in four stages: first, sending robots and supplies, then, building habitats, followed by the first human landing, and finally, creating a permanent research base.
So now let's talk about the challenges of deep space travel. So first is the eye problems in the astronauts, which astronauts can develop um vision and eye issues during long space missions because microgravity changes how fluids move in the body. So in space, yung fluid sa katawan nila is nag-shift siya upward towards the head, which causes yung increased pressure around the eyes and brain that can affect their vision. Um, it uh it affects their vision, difficulty of focusing, swelling at the back of the eye, and changes in eye shape. So scientists sometimes call this condition a space flight associated neuroocular syndrome, or the SANS. Then next is they also experience muscle atrophy and bone weakness. So in microgravity, astronauts do not use their muscles and bones as much as they do on Earth. So, meaning, dito parang nare-reduce yung um, physical activity nila sa outer space compared sa activities nila in sa Earth. Kaya nagkakaroon sila ng muscle atrophy, which means muscles become weaker and smaller due to lack of use. So yung effects nito is loss of muscle strength, difficulty moving normally after returning to Earth, fatigue, and reduced endurance. They also experience bone weakness. So yung bones nila is naglulose siya ng minerals like calcium in space, making them weaker and less dense. And then they also have the cosmic radiation. Sa cosmic radiation exposure refers to astronauts being exposed to high energy radiation particles from space. So these particles come from the sun and from outside our solar system. So in space, there is much less protection compared to Earth because Earth's atmosphere and magnetic field normally block most harmful radiation. The common sources of cosmic radiation is yung solar radiation, which are particles released by the sun during solar flares and storms. So nagiging dangerous siya for long-term exposure because it can damage cells and DNA, leading to increased risk for cancer, vision problems, weakened immune system, damage to the brain and nervous system. And then we also have the closed loop support. So when we say closed loop support system, it is a system designed to recycle and reuse resources like air, water, and waste so astronauts can survive for long periods in space without constant resupply from Earth. So instead of throwing resources away, the system creates a loop where materials are continuously processed and reduced. So an example of this is yung air recycling. So they remove carbon dioxide and produces oxygen. Pwede rin siya sa water recycling, nagpupurify sila ng urine, sweat, and water waste into clean drinking water. They also experience psychological strain, wherein nakaka-experience sila ng isolation due to confinement and communication delays up to 20 plus minutes one way from Mars. So next po. Now let's talk about the space tourism, which is a new industry. So suborbital experiences, companies like Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin have successfully commercialized suborbital flights, allowing private citizens to experience brief moments of weightlessness and view the curvature of the Earth. So when we say suborbital experiences, it is a short trip to space that reaches the edge of space and returns without orbiting the Earth, which usually takes a few minutes to a few hours. And also have the orbital tourism and private outposts. So the industry is rapidly advancing toward orbital tourism. Companies like Axiom Space are flying private crews to the ISS and actively developing their own free-flying commercial space stations. Sa orbital tourism naman, it is a trip where spacecraft travels fast enough to orbit Earth. So compared sa suborbital, yung orbital tourism is nagtitake siya ng several days or longer. Nag-i-stay din sila sa orbit around Earth and extended zero gravity, living, and space travel. And compared sa suborbital, mas expensive yung orbital tourism when it comes to expenses. Next po.
Okay, let's proceed to the space resources and asteroid mining. So first, let's define what is asteroid mining. It is the process of collecting valuable resources from asteroids in space. Scientists believe that space contains many materials that can help future space exploration and even support industries on Earth. So first, we have the massive economic potential. It is near-Earth asteroids are believed to contain trillions of dollars worth of raw materials. These resources may create new opportunities for industries and businesses in space in the future. So next are the targeted resources. One important resources is water. This water can be separated into hydrogen and oxygen, which can be used as a rocket fuel. Another target is platinum group metals, which are valuable materials used in electronics and advanced technology. Scientists are also interested in rare earth elements, which are becoming limited on Earth but are important in making gadgets, batteries, and machines. The third one is in situ resource utilization, or the ISRU. This means using resources found in space instead of always bringing supplies from the Earth. For example, ice on Mars can be turned into water, oxygen, and fuel to help support astronauts and future human settlements. This is important because transporting materials from Earth to space is very expensive. By using local resources, future space missions can become more sustainable and independent. So, overall, asteroid mining and space resources may help improve technology, support future space missions, and make long term human exploration in space possible. Next, for the astrobiology and the search for life. So, astrobiology is the study of possible life outside the Earth. Scientists study planets and moons to know if living organisms can survive in space. Let's talk up. Let's look at the first picture. The image shows Europa and Enceladus, the two moons that may support life. Europa is the moon of Jupiter. It has a thick ice shell with an ocean underneath. Enceladus is the moon of Saturn. It has also an ice. This scientist also says that Saturn has that Saturn it has the subsurface ocean. So they discovered that water vapor becoming more from Enceladus, suggesting that life may possibly exist here. While the other picture shows that hydrothermal vents are hot openings under oceans where microorganisms on Earth can survive even without the sunlight. Because of this, scientists believe that simple life forms may also survive on these moons. While the term potential ecosystems refers to environment that may support life. While for the second picture, this image focuses on the James Webb Space Telescope, or the JWST, which helps scientists study exoplanets or planets outside our solar system. It also shows exoplanet transit, which happens when a planet passes in front of its stars. Scientists analyze that light passing through the atmosphere to identify gases present there. Another term is the atmospheric biosignatures, which are gases that may indicate life, such as oxygen and methane. And then lastly, JWST infrared data helps scientists study the atmosphere, temperature, and gases of distant planets. While the explanation at the bottom means that scientists are now focusing not only asking, is there a life, but also, where can life exist? With the help of GWST, scientists can search for possible signs of life on distant planets. Next.
Moving on to the orbital sustainability, the space debris problem. So, the growing threat in LEO, or low Earth orbit, it is the region of space closest to Earth where many satellites and spacecraft operate. Over decades of space exploration, broken satellites discard broken satellites, discarded rocket components, and tiny debris fragments have accumulated in this area. Despite their small size, these objects travel at extremely high speeds and can cause severe damage to operational spacecraft. For example, a tiny paint chip traveling through space can crack a spacecraft window because it moves faster than a bullet. We also have here the Kessler syndrome. So this was proposed by a scientist called Donald Kessler. So he explains how collisions in space can create a chain reaction of debris. When two objects collide, they produce thousands of smaller fragments. These fragments may strike other satellites, causing further collisions and generating even more debris. Over time, This could make Earth's orbit increasingly dangerous and difficult to use. An example of this: if two satellites collide, thousands of debris fragments may spread across orbit and damage nearby spacecraft and communication systems. And lastly, mitigation strategies and possible solutions. So, to address the growing issue of space debris, countries and space agencies are developing technologies to make existing debris and prevent additional waste from accumulating in orbit. International organizations are also implementing stricter policies for satellite disposal after missions end. So, an example of the proposed solutions are capture nets, harpoons, lasers, and end of life disposal. So, capture nets are specialized spacecraft used large nets to capture floating debris safely. The harpoons are devices attached to space junk and guide it away from active orbital paths. The lasers are ground-based or space-based lasers can push smaller debris into safer orbits. And lastly, the end-of-life disposal. Our old satellites are directed back into the Earth's atmosphere where they burn up safely instead of remaining in orbit indefinitely. So as you can see the image, so this illustrates the Earth surrounded by broken satellites, rocket fragments, and countless pieces of debris orbiting the planet. So it highlights the growing problem of space junk and the risks it poses to active satellites, spacecraft, and even International Space Station or ISS. Since these objects travel at extremely high speeds, collisions can have devastating consequences. The image serves as a warning that without proper action, increasing debris may threaten future space exploration, communication systems, and scientific missions. Now that we understand the problem of space debris, let us move on to the role of international cooperation and laws in space. So first we have the foundational legislation. The Outer Space Treaty is the primary international agreement that governs the peaceful use of outer space. So it states that outer space belongs to all humanity and must only be used for peaceful purposes. The treaty also prohibits the placement of weapons of mass destruction in orbit and prevents countries from claiming ownership of celestial bodies such as planets and moons. An example of this is no country is allowed to place nuclear weapons in space or claim that the moon as its sovereign territory. Second is a model of global collaboration. The ISS or International Space Station represents international cooperation and peaceful collaboration in space exploration. Astronauts from different nations work together abroad to aboard to the station to conduct scientific research, technological experiments, and medical studies that benefit humanity. For example, astronauts from United States, Russia, Japan, Canada, and several European countries collaborate on missions inside the ISS despite political differences on Earth. And lastly, the need for updated space policies. As private companies become more involved sa space exploration, existing space laws must evolve para ma-address yung emerging challenges such as asteroid mining, satellite congestion, and liability for orbital accidents. If two privately owned satellites collide in orbit, international laws are needed to determine accountability and responsibility for damages. So, as the image depicts, astronauts from different countries inside the ISS or International Space Station, their flags and uniforms represents unity, cooperation, and the collective pursuit of scientific advancement. Although these nations may differ in culture, language, and political perspectives, they work together peacefully to expand human knowledge and improve life through space research. So the image symbolizes global collaboration and the shared responsibility of exploring and protecting space for future generations.
Now for philosophical implication for humanity. Now let's for the overview effect. One important philosophical implication of space exploration is called the overview effect. Astronauts who see Earth from space often realize how small and fragile our planet is. Dahil dito, mas naiintindihan natin na all people are connected and should work together to protect our world. These experiences changes the way humans think about the Earth and humanity. Next is redefining our place in the cosmos. Another implication of space exploration is redefining our place in the cosmos. As we learn more about the universe, we realize how vast it is, which is extremely huge, and mysterious, which is something that is fully unknown to us. This reminds us that Earth is very special because it is only known planet that supports life. Kaya naman may responsibility tayo to care and preserve our planet for future generation. Next is complex ethical consideration. Space exploration also brings complex ethical consideration. Scientists and governments must think carefully about protecting our planet from contamination and using space resources fairly. In simple words, progress in science should always come with responsibility, discipline, and ethics. Next po. For conclusion, the road ahead, humanity's progress in space exploration. In conclusion, humanity has made extraordinary progress in space exploration with a short period of time. From example, rockets before, we now have advanced spacecraft capable of exploring deep space. These achievements show the creativity, determination, and intelligence of humankind. Nakikita din natin dito kung gaano kalaki ang development ng tao pagdating sa science at technology. Innovation, vision, and cooperation. The future of space exploration depends on a technological innovation, ambitious goals, and international cooperation. Scientists, engineers, and different countries must work together peacefully to overcome challenges and discover new possibilities in space. Sa madaling salita, teamwork at collaboration are very important for the success of future space missions. Next is the inspirational quote and future vision. As Constantine's once said, the earth is the cradle of humanity, but the mankind cannot stay in the cradle forever. This quote reminds us that humans are naturally driven to explore beyond Earth. Habang patuloy tayong nag-explore ng kalawakan, we move closer to a sustainable and multiplanetary future that can benefit the next generation. Pinapakita ng quote na natural ang humans na nag-explore, mag-discover at mahumanap ng new opportunities beyond Earth. It also suggests that space exploration is part of humanity's growth and future. So in summary, space exploration began amid Cold War competition, reaching key milestones like human space flight, the moon landing, and deep space probes. Today, it has evolved to include commercial companies, lowering costs and expanding access to space. Future goals focus on returning to the moon, going to Mars, searching for life, and utilizing space resources. These efforts drive innovations, global cooperation, and aim to secure humanity's future beyond Earth.
So, overall, space exploration helps us understand more about the universe and opens new possibilities for humanity's future. As we continue to explore beyond the Earth, we are not only discovering new worlds but also learning more about ourselves and our own potential. As we look toward the stars, we leave you with this question. If humanity had the chance to live beyond the Earth, would you be willing to take that journey? I hope you understand some parts of our reporting. Thank you for listening. Have a good day ahead.